Okay, let's have a look at the sun shelters problem, and we'll do this to merit level. And then I'll do a separate one for the excellence. Marna's friend Billy has a business making sun shelters and tents for small children. The table below summarizes the time it takes to produce each item and the amount of materials is used. So when they do a table like this, they're giving you constraints. So you have to identify what your constraints are and so on. The production time takes 30 minutes to make a sun shelter, 40 minutes to make a tent, and the amount of materials used is 2 square meters for sun shelters and 5 for tents. So the first thing that you want to do is identify what X is and what Y is, and it's going to matter how you do that. So it says let X be the number of sun shelters and Y the number of tents. I doubt very much if they're going to do that for the internal, but they may. But just make sure you identify these clearly. If they don't state them, that you state them. Okay? So there's my variables. Now, let's take a look at this thing. Each week, Billy has available 30 hours to work, 1,800 minutes on making these products, and a total of 190 square meters of material. Currently, Billy has a steady order to produce at least 10 sun shelters and 15 tents each week. For each sun shelter he produces, Billy makes a profit. So basically this is telling, once we start seeing the profit thing and so on, profit of this and the profit of that, we're talking about the objective function. So this is our objective function. That's not a constraint. So we have to find all the constraints. So we've got 30 hours to work, or 1,800 minutes. Now maybe there's a reason why they put this in minutes. Let's take a look. Production time. It takes 30 minutes to produce a sun shelter and 40 minutes to produce a tent. And he has a maximum of 30 hours to work. Each week has available. That's all. That's the maximum, or 1,800 minutes. So he can't exceed that 1,800 minutes. That's his max. So that's going to go with this. That's going to basically go with this, right? So this is my constraint around time, and this is it here. 30x plus 40y cannot exceed or go past 1,800, and the units have to be consistent, so everything's in minutes. And then we have another constraint, which is the amount of material that's being used. So 2 square meters for a sun shelter, 5 for a tent, and it says down here that the maximum amount of materials that he has on making these products, and a total of 190 square meters of material. So that's all the material that he has. So again, this will go with this constraint, 190, and he can't exceed that. So again, 2x plus 5y is less than or equal to 190. So we've got those two constraints, and then there's a couple of more, right? He must produce at least 10 sun shelters. So at least means he can produce more than that, but he can't produce less than that. So that's greater than or equal to 10x. And for the 15 tents, greater than or equal to 15. So I've got 4 constraints. So I'm going to go into Desmos, and I'm going to plot those, but I'm going to obviously shift the signs the other way, and I'm going to see what I get for my feasible region. So here's my feasible region, and here's my points of intersection: 10 and 34, 10 and 15, 20 and 30, and 40 and 15. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 vertices in my feasible region. And now I know that my objective function is right here. 8x makes a profit of $8 for his sun shelters and $12 for the tents. So my objective function is 8x plus 12y is equal to p, right? So I'm going to physically take each one of these vertices, and I'm going to points of intersection, I'm going to plug them into my formula. I'm going to go 8 times 10 plus 12 times 15, and I'm going to get $260. I'm going to do 10 and 34, I'm going to do 20 and 30, and so on. I max out here. That's my maximum profit. So I've got to say a statement about that. The combination of sun shelters and tents that will max profit is 20 sun shelters and 30 tents and gives a profit of $520. Boom, you're done for marriage. Okay, that's it. Now we'll talk about the excellence in the next video.